virtual discussion group. And we're really focused on adaptive sports and recreational activities. And we call this our Active Project Live. Our Active Project is our digital resource for all things adaptive sports. Megan, do you want to, can we share the screen for the project? And we'll just, Megan will share the screen so you guys can see that. But and she'll pop up our skiing page. But our active project is where you can discover other sports, find places to try them, connect with peers. We have informational videos on dozens of sports. We have hundreds of organizations and their events, forums and messaging and equipment and much, much more. So please sign up and take advantage of all of these resources. I'll actually will post in the chat the link so you guys can see that. 1 second. There we go. But this is our Active Project Live. So we are a group that meets bi-weekly every other Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the hope is that this provides a platform for adaptive sports enthusiasts to engage in lively discussions about various recreational activities. And to enrich these conversations, we ask experts to offer their insight in the form of question and answer, or presentation, storytelling, panelist, really just from veteran to novices, patients to clinicians. We really just invite everyone to come with questions, ready to engage and share their experiences and discover new possibilities in adaptive sports and recreation. We do have a brief survey that we would greatly appreciate you guys to fill out, just so we're continuously trying to make this a better resource for you guys and to improve our reach. So I will also put that in the chat. Give me 1 second. That is there. And we also record these discussions and upload them to our Kelly Brush Foundation YouTube channel. And again, I'm going to post that in the chat just so you guys can see that if you want. You can, again, we meet bi-weekly, so you can view previous discussions and topics at that YouTube channel. This week, we are focusing on adaptive downhill skiing. We're really excited. We have some incredible guests who will talk about the sport of alpine ski racing. We have actually a couple Paralympians, 3-time Paralympian with 2 Paralympic medals, Andrew Kurka, and we have 5-time Paralympian and 4 Paralympic medals, Chris Young. And we also have an aspiring USA Paralympic ski team member, Max Lyman, who just moved to Colorado to go after his dream and is currently on the NSCD team, the National Sports Center for Disabled. And from all these and many others, you will hear their insights on professional skiing and how to get started. We also have a bunch of adaptive sports organizations. So please, if you are part of an adaptive sport organization, if you could include that in your name, just so we know who you are and just so other people can see. And also, please jump in to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your program. We really want to keep this very conversational and just have an open discussion about ski racing and alpine skiing. There's no such thing as a stupid question. And as always, a reminder that when you decide to show up and authentically and unapologetically, you encourage others to do the same, which always allows for a more meaningful and productive and insightful conversation. So, with that, I would love to maybe pass it right off to Chris Young to introduce yourself, and then we'll give it over to Max.
Hello there. I'm Chris Young, and I have been alpine skiing since 1985. Started in a sit ski before the current monoski that we all use as sit skiers was invented, and gone through all the different possible um, improvements and iterations, and made probably all the possible mistakes of travel and skiing. Never fallen off a chairlift, but well, I'm not going to try that one, not even once. But otherwise, alpine skiing is one of the few sports that we can do where it's gravity powered, and it takes a lot of effort from us, or a very small amount of effort from us, to find enjoyment and freedom of movement that is really difficult to find in any other sport.
Thanks, Chris. And Max.
Hi, I'm Max. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. I just moved out here to Winter Park, Colorado. I'm out here training with the NSCD development team, working on my ski racing. I started mono skiing 3 years ago, or this is my third season. So I was injured 3 years ago, and I got started with Spalding Adaptive Sports with Chris and coaching me up. And then I went out to Ski Spec, where I was introduced to ski racing. I got the gates for the first time there. And then last year, at the end of the season, I did my first race, um, which which was super fun, and it was an opportunity to like try something new and push myself. And I felt like I held my own. And so after that, I connected with the NICD and started training out here, or training with the team. And I came out here, made the decision this summer to move out here and go full time, and go, you know, and go for the goal of making the Paralympics someday. So, yeah.
Really cool, Max. Thank you for sharing, and I'm sure you can share a lot more throughout this call.
Yes, and we have Andrew as well on the call. Hey,
Hi
Andrew.
guys. Happy to be here. Andrew Kurka, US ski team going on my 17th year, currently number one in downhill in the world, top five in all of the other events. Business owner, pilot, Alaskan. That is the basic gist about myself. I think I broke my back when I was 13 years old in an ATV accident 20 years ago. So here we all are now, learning how to be our best versions of ourselves in an adaptive fashion. I'm here to answer any questions. I do currently ski on a Toyota sit ski, which Chris helped develop, and which I am currently working with developing more with Toyota. And that's about it. Yeah. Happy to take any questions you guys have about what the current sit ski out there is, the best way to get into Paralympic sport, things like that, which is kind of what your active project is all about, right? Which is super rad.
Thanks, Andrew. That's great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I know you all three know each other. That's so fun. So with that, any questions to start, just chime right in.
Max is actually in my old sit ski. I'm letting Max use my old sit ski. So the sport's very small and I think it all translates really well. And Max is definitely the future of the sport. And I'm kind of the middle on it. And then Chris is like the has been, ooh, 4 Paralympic medals, whatever, Chris Young.
How did Max get your sit ski?
I gave it to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I went up to so last year I went up to Alaska
Okay.
and went skiing up there, and that's where I got to meet Kurka and went skiing with him a little bit, and I guess one thing led to another, and my old rig kind of broke down, and he was like, "This is going to take you to the next level." So we put it all together, and now I'm on it and racing faster than I was before. So
Yeah, and some real adjustments had to be made because Max is like 6'5".
uh,
Yeah,
And
which
how
is
tall are
fun.
you, Andrew?
What was that?
How tall are you?
5'9".
So was that like, was it easy adjustments or?
No, it was complicated adjustments. And if anyone has any questions about that, I'm happy to answer them. And you know,
Yeah, could you explain that a little bit? Maybe about equipment and fitting and a little bit more about that?
so every single sit ski has to be customized to each individual. Um, whether it be, shock settings, height, weight, you name it. It basically has to work in sync with the individual who's on it. And that is determinable on what the person feels and how they like. But there are very common implications like low rebound and somewhere between like a 20 and 30% sag on the shock. And then you always want your legs and upper body variable on your height centered or a little bit back of center so that when you move forward under the tip of the ski whenever you're ski racing or skiing in general. You always want to be able to engage the tip of the ski to be able to arc a turn or basically turn in general. Skis are made to turn. They're shoveled, they're dished in the front. And if you're sitting too far forward, the tip will hook up almost all the time uncontrollably and it'll feel uncomfortable. If you're too far back, you'll be like, why can't I turn? I'm going so slow all the time. But if you're somewhere close to center, a little bit forward, a little bit back, I prefer a little bit back and centered because it doesn't engage quite so much. It engages when I force it to engage. And then it accelerates out of the turn a little bit better. Um,
Yeah,
that's it.
great. Shirley, do you
That's
have a question?
I do. Oh, I'm so glad we're having this, seeing all these folks. I have a question. I got a Dynamique, thank you, Kelly Brush Foundation, 2 years ago. But when I first tried it out, it was so squirrely and I slammed it in the snow, screwed up my shoulder, and I'm kind of afraid to get back into it this year. So, do you have any suggestions on? I'm a T7 complete and I have no core, so that thing just got squirrely under me really easily. Do you have any suggestions?
Yes, set it, turn rebound all the way down, set it as far back or a little bit farther back. Naturally, especially like the Dynaccess sits you a bit forward. And when you compress and decompress it, it pops you forward. Um, so that makes, like I was saying earlier, the tip engage very easily, which isn't necessarily safe unless you're trying to go very fast. And even then, it's a little squirrely. So I personally would set it farther back on the foot, set your center of gravity farther back, turn the rebound all the way down, and then that way you can just casually cruise. And then Chris has actually worked with Dynaccess pretty extensively on this rig, so he might be able to answer any questions more in depth.
Shirley, did you say dynamic or Dynaccess?
Oh, dynamic. I pronounced it wrong. I'm just, it's a
The one of the best ways to address what you're saying is exactly what Andrew's talking about with help. So show up to one of the programs that are around the country and at our local ski areas. Spalding Adaptive Sports being one of them. You could go up to Vermont. You go out to Wachusett Mountain. I don't know where your local mountain is, but there's probably an adaptive program close. And tell them exactly what Andrew said and exactly what happened to you, and then they can help make your fit better and then help you make those adjustments on the shock. If you've never made those before, it's great to have a little help.
Yeah, one thing I would say, Shirley, is that you also want to make sure you're checking your head position. If you're having issues with getting yourself down the hill, and I found this early on when I got my first ski, when I was trying to dial it in and trying to understand, how to get that ski to go where I wanted to go, is I had myself overcorrecting, like looking where I wanted to turn as opposed to having my head going downhill. So as long as I kept my head downhill, I didn't have those issues with myself overcorrecting and going off into trees or going off anywhere else. So now my third time on my brand new ski, I fell and I got a concussion. I was out for 6 weeks. And then after that, I figured out what was wrong because my head wasn't going downhill, and I never looked back, never had an issue since, because I understood exactly what the issue was. And, Chris was saying just exactly what you want to hear. You want to be able to work with your local instructor and they can videotape you as you're skiing to be able to see what you're doing wrong, where you need to make your adjustments, and then you're going to find yourself getting much, much better. Because now today, I'm like year number 3, number 4, wherever into the program, riding the mono ski. Now I'm able to basically ski any slope on the hill if I want. So, but one question I do have for Chris and the other and Andrew is, when do I need to know how to adjust my shock? I'm riding a KBG J Raw. It's a pretty high ski, and I'm working on my S turns and all this other stuff, but I don't know when, if I need to look at my video and when it's time to say, okay, this shock needs to be adjusted a little bit harder or whatever. Can you give me some feedback on that?
You want me to start, Chris?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so shocks are always a tough thing for each individual, and they're always individualized. If you're getting second bounces in between your turns, you need to adjust your shock stiffer. If you're not getting second bounces, then you're probably okay. If you're getting hard rebounds, then you probably need to adjust your shock rebound lower. So that shock, if it's the newer version, has the Olean's TTX with the high speed, low speed, and rebound. And you never really want your rebound very high or your high speed compression very high. You typically want your low speed compression to take most of the percussion. That way you're moving gradually through your shock settings and not bouncing at the top portion of the high speed and not rebounding heavy from down low. You want to move fairly steady and reach out to someone who skis in that rig regularly. I used to ski in that rig. I don't anymore, but J-Raw does, and he would be a good connection for you to send a message to. But kind of the basis for shock settings is, hey, if it's working for you, don't change it.
Yeah, it seems to be working for me right now, so I seem to be fine.
Yeah. Chris?
The exactly what Andrew's saying is where you want to end up. Consider doing a little research on the Enabling Technologies website. Navigate around, and you're going to find shock absorber adjustment page that talks about how to adjust a shock absorber. And if you've never adjusted one, start from the beginning and learn how to adjust a shock. So the one you have is going to be different, but the principle is the same. And then, exactly like Andrew said, reach out to somebody that's using the same machine will be helpful. And folks at programs sometimes know this information. Not a lot of folks. Reach out to Max. He's learning a lot about shocks right now and can give you a kind of a ground up explanation from a person that's brand new. My shock settings, I've been happy with them for quite some time, and before that, I changed them 4 or 5 times a year for 40 years. So there's a lot of changes possible to get a perfect ride, but you're really only looking for the perfect ride for you. And when you make changes, please keep notes. Write them down on a piece of paper of what your current settings are. And to find those current settings, you need to close the different valves. Sometimes you need a tool to close them. Sometimes it's a knob you can turn with your fingers. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Close them. Count the number of clicks to close. Don't close them hard. If you close them hard, you will bend the little itty bitty needle inside and screw up your shock. And so when you get to the end, don't keep forcing. If it feels like it's done, it's done. And then put it back to where it was. If you counted 15, put it back at 15 clicks out, and then start making some adjustments. Write down what you did, go for a ski run, and if it feels good, then maybe make some more in that direction. If it feels bad, maybe you need to go in the other direction.
Cool, thanks. Appreciate it. Are you going to be up there to watch this this
We are, yeah.
Well, maybe I'll change my plans. I might be able to meet you up there. We'll see.
Cody, I
Awesome.
hope you meet Chris. I feel like you two would ski very well together. You would
I
get
think so.
good knowledge
It'd be
from
awesome.
him.
Cool.
Yeah. I see some people from Vermont Adaptive and Green Mountain Adaptive Sports. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Molly. I am kind of wearing a few hats. Hi, Kelsey. I know quite a few of you, anyone who's come up and done programming with Vermont Adaptive or the Clay Brush Foundation, and a few of you from the Mono Ski Day at Stowe last week. But I am also in occupational therapy school. So I also am working with the Kelly Brush Foundation in that aspect this spring. Some of you may have seen a survey go out. I'm going to link it into the chat here as well if anyone's interested in my like doctoral capstone work as well. But I'm just excited to hear more. Like I'm always looking for some tips and tricks from you all in terms of how I can help others when learning how to mono ski and bi ski. It's also really cool to see Max's journey since I've seen him since he just started. So yeah, just super excited to be a growing part of KBF and active project, and I'm happy to be included.
Thanks for coming, Molly.
Hi everyone, I'm Allie. Kind of similar to Molly, I'm also in OT school at UVM. I've been teaching adaptive for 10 years now. I started out at NSCD, which is where Max is at, then moved to Utah and was with Wasatch Adaptive out of Snowbird for a number of years. Moved to Vermont and have been with Vermont Adaptive for 3 years now and just started with Green Mountain Adaptive as one of their Tetra ski instructors. So I've coached some ski camps and bike camps for KBF and recognize a lot of you on the call. So it's good to be here and kind of learn a little bit more about Active Project.
Thank you. Could you, maybe this is a great opportunity to share a little bit about the Tetra ski?
Yeah, I would love to. So Tetra ski is, if anyone's familiar with the Tessier snow cart, it's that same model. And then it goes to the University of Utah. Their trails program is the one that invented the ski like 7 or 8 years ago now. And it's designed for people with complex physical disabilities. So quadriplegic is a really good one, ALS patients. You need very little movement to control it, and it's controlled by either joystick or by sip and puff. And you can really kind of maximize any type of movement or ability you have to ski it with independence. As an instructor, I'm behind, I'm tethered, I wear a harness, I'm attached to the ski. But ideally, if I've done my job right, I'm not doing anything. I can control speed that way, or I have a joystick in my hand and can override the ski at any point to help turn. It's really cool to see how much independence we can give to people, and you can control it if you have a prosthetic arm. My guy last week was controlling it. He has a spinal cord injury and uses prostheses, so he controlled it that way. This week, I have someone that can only turn left, and then I can do every right turn for him. So there's a lot of different combinations to just maximize independence, and that's we're operating at a stow right now. And I think they said there's about 25 of those skis in the world, and hoping to put that into the Paralympics in 2034 in Utah, which would be really awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. Really cool. Thanks for sharing. And we have some people from Spalding too. Hey, Keisha.
There, Diane. Hi, everybody else. I am from Spalding Adaptive Sports Centers in Eastern Massachusetts. Good to see a bunch of familiar faces here. And can't wait to hear more about the active project. And this is a great conversation. I'm happy to answer any questions or help sign folks up for Eastern Mass and our ski club that travels, like was mentioned, out to Wachusett every Thursday and up to New England. We collaborate with Green Mountain Adaptive Sports at times, and Vermont Adaptive Sports, and Sunapee, and Waterville Valley, and Cannon, and all sorts of other places. And my friend and colleague Kathleen is also on the call.
Hi, everyone. Same ditto ditto. It's great to get a bunch of good people together with the same interests. In preparing for this meeting, I think what's often on my mind, because I teach a lot of beginners, both bi-ski and monoski, is how do clients, how do coaches know when to transition beyond perhaps their beginner monoski? You know, a lot of mountains now have the Monique to move up to the next one. So it's a very general question, and I know the first answer on everyone's lips, well, is it depends. But I think that's an important talking point for coaches and athletes alike. So if our experts want to add their 2 cents to that, I think that's a valuable conversation to have. Besides what's available in their trailer, for example. So sometimes there's the realities of what's available, but I'd love to hear comments about that.
For me, I'll start out from the racing perspective as the current up and racer. And for me, it is about when the individual is ready emotionally or personally. In my mind, it's like, hey, you've learned how to ski here? Are you ready to take it to the next level? Yes, go for it. In my mind, that's what it is. And then second nature, there's the different types of monoskis. Some work better for free skiing, getting outside, just being recreational, while others work better for racing. And if you want to race and you're a good enough skier, I think moving into that next level is going to be very important. Similar to what Max and I did. Max showed up. He said, hey, I want to race. I said, you can't do it on that. Take this one. You know, the Tessier.
And what was he on originally?
Go ahead, Max. Tell him.
I was on a KBG tensor, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was, the shock and everything. It wasn't going to hold up when you really put it to the test. So the Skyver that I'm on now can handle the forces and the turns that I'm doing now. I'm not worried it's gonna fall apart or anything.
Max, I think that's a great question. Like, what made you go to the next level? Like, what encouraged you? What made you go out to Colorado? What made you take all those next steps?
I think it's just kind of following opportunity. Like I was new to skiing and I kind of fell into this world. So just kind of took every opportunity that I had, and I've gotten to travel and gotten to go to all these different places, um, and just kind of committing to it and not being afraid or timid to, you know, to try something new, and to put yourself in a situation that, you're the new guy out there, or you're yeah, like you might not you're the worst out there right now, but if you continue to work, like you'll you'll improve, and you'll hang along and uh hang with everyone else. So,
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Yeah. I think when people become ready to be competitive individually, some people never want to do that. They just want to be recreational on the hill. Chris, do you have anything to add?
Well, exactly what these two guys just said. It's the individual's desire to become a better skier. And no matter who you are, and I always try to be a better skier. Even when I got good and was labeled good, I still wanted to be better. So you're always reaching for some sort of improvement. And at a point, you're going to notice as an individual the machine that you're using isn't allowing what you're seeing other people do. And especially with the social media that you can see other folks in monoskis, or if you're a stand-up skier, other folks. I know some spinal cord injuries are still able to like four track and such. You're going to notice. Wait a minute, I'm not able to do that, but I'd like to. And a lot of times that's going to be equipment for us. And the better you get, the better your equipment needs to be so you can get better.
I'm very much in that spot now. So I have an incomplete spinal cord injury, and I'm a four tracker. I actually skied gates for the first time with Vermont Adaptive and Max and Kelly Brush back in like what, January-ish. And ended up here in Colorado too. Max and I are kind of on this weird, crazy journey together. But like I've just kind of figuring out like, because I know I'm in a different category, I'm in a different world than most of the other standing skiers. So because I four track, so it's kind of like, and there's not that many people to look at to learn. Luckily, there's one on the US team and a guy, Adam Hall, who's really, really nice for those of you who don't know him. But so I've been watching him a ton, and it's just like, okay, well, like I need to work on getting my outriggers shorter, but not so short that I'm like bent in half trying to turn. And then like I've been playing a lot with the length and stretchiness of my bungee between my skis. And it's just kind of like it's like, all right, well, I'm doing great, but I know I could ski better. And like I watched how like Adam skied this past, maybe it was 2 weeks ago now. And like, cause it was not just on camera, it was in person. And so I was like, all right, I need to figure out how to make that happen. And it's like, well, what things are working for them and which of those things could work for me. So we've just been like literally just shortened to somebody else's pair of outriggers that they're not using to try to figure out how to get a little bit lower, a little bit more angle, and maybe get my right foot to do what it's told.
Yeah, Kelsey, you should definitely talk to Harrigy a bit more about that. He's been doing it for a while. He still has the same struggles you do, though. So,
yeah, some of it's Harrigy's just like we're always in very different time zones these days, but hopefully
yeah,
not for long.
yeah. Well, I hear you'll be at World Champs, so that's cool. All right, Rolando asks, if you're completely new to this, how do you begin? Rolando, very simply, go to a local program that is near you, that's not super far away, and approach them and ask. And I think the Kelly Brush Foundation and this entire program that they have here is based around helping you uh, get into sport and whatever you want to do. If you want to do alpine skiing, get into it. You know what I'm saying? Go to your local program, ask them where they think you should start, and then go for it. Typically, most sit skiers start in a bi-ski just to get out and slide on snow and have fun under control of an occupational therapist or under control of a volunteer that is there to help you slide down the snow and get excited about it. And then as you feel ready and as your body starts to react better the way you want it to, they might upgrade you to a monoski, and then you can crush the mountain on your own and be independent and probably do backflips like Kennison or something. It'll be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would
crazy.
also add to that, like find a way to ski with other mono skiers or ski with other sit skiers that will help you improve and learn from each other. I think that's what really pushed me because when you're just stuck learning from someone on two skis standing up, it's hard for them to really communicate what they're trying or how to ski, or they don't necessarily know because they haven't been in a sit ski like the situation that you are in. So yeah, I just encourage you to find ways and opportunities to go out and get with other sit skiers.
Yeah, to bring that right back to the active project, each user on their profile will tell if they ski or if they hike or if they swim, whatever sport they may do. So you can always search with that and find different users that are interested in similar activities as you. So say you're going to go out to Colorado, you could find a few different programs out there, find a few different people, message them on the platform, and you could have a pretty fun community. It's a good way to get involved and also get more people on the platform. So you just allow more resources for everyone. Um, yes, that's it.
Roland,
Yeah,
Rolando in Austin, I think a closer ski area to you would be in New Mexico. And other than skiing, I know Austin has a very good like sled hockey program with all different levels. So if you just want to get out and get active, or if you want to like crush skiing again, or whatever you want to do, whatever your personal goals are, there's different programs that are near you to go do that. Um, I know the Austin program has like some sick sled hockey players. I've played against them before, and they kicked my butt. So
Andrew, do you know if Flagstaff there's a mountain near Flagstaff, isn't there? Do they have a program?
I know there's one in New Mexico. I don't know Flagstaff. I don't know, but the Active Project website does magic. Woo. That's why we're here.
I also just put in the chat, Rolando, in response, a bunch of programs that have property and have their own adaptive lodges. And they welcome athletes, whether experienced or new, to come and stay in their lodge and take lessons from them for the week, like a destination vacation, learning to go ski.
Yeah, and you can always use the Kelly Brush Foundation has a scholarship for opportunities like that, where you can get $500 to travel or go to the program or program costs, anything like that. So that's another great resource. Ben, you have your hand up.
Hey, I've been on and off mono skiing probably for like 7 years. I go probably once or twice a year. I guess my thing is like, how do I know like to try to up it? Like, I'm a T6 with a complete spinal fusion, so I don't have the flexibility most other folks do. And I'd love to be able to kind of get good one day, but like, maybe just this is my level getting down greens on my own in the mono ski. But yeah, how do you know to try to like take it to that next level? Like, and I said, I only go about once or twice a year. That's probably my problem.
If you
I can add a little something to that. So, that it's the amount of times you go. I
Yeah.
just skied this last week up in Bretton Woods with a gentleman who only skis once a year. This time he had a chance to go out 3 times out, this week. But it's the frequency of being able to ski. If you can get an opportunity to get a pass, there's the Epic has an adaptive pass. It's only $300 for like the Northeast, for example, and I'm sure it's regional for that same kind of cost that allows you to ski within your region. So it can become very economical to allow you to, if it's within a close proximity, to be able to get out there more. So the frequency of being able to ski is going to be the key for you to get your confidence. Because once you get the confidence that you're not going to fall, or once you get the confidence that you're going to be able to make those turns, and then you're going to be able to get down and do what you need to do. And like I said earlier, again, if you're skiing with your instructor, they're always happy to videotape you so you can kind of learn from your mistakes and how you can get better at your craft. Because to talk about the S turns as opposed to the Z turns and stuff like that, and how you can kind of build your confidence. For me, when I was skiing up at Loon Mountain, the head of the program skied behind me a couple of years ago, and he said, you don't need us anymore. So you can go ski on your own whenever you're ready. Because I told him I wanted to be independent. And after that, I had, I knew I had the confidence. But the thing is now I can just ski with a buddy. I taught him how to pick me up off the snow, how to help me get onto the lift. And after that, it's all about, going out and enjoying the mountain. So that's my 2 cents.
I think for me, I mean, I'm not a mono skier, but it was kind of like when I came back to skiing, I had resigned myself that like if I can just get down the green runs, like that's all I really need in this world. And then as greens became more and more comfortable, became like there was like that always that like thought in my head, like maybe I could do a little bit more, like maybe I could do that one kind of easier blue run. And so I feel like there was a part of me that always knew. But 9 out of 10 times it would be somebody I knew that was like seeing me on the mountain. They're like, hey, like you look like you're ready to go do this. And I'm like, yeah, I've been wondering that myself, but I like don't want to do it alone. And a lot of times, like literally anytime I've wanted to level up my skiing before I like started racing, I literally just went to Vermont Adaptive and they helped me out and they're like, okay, what do you want to learn how to do? And so like you don't have to just stop taking lessons once you know how to ski. Like if there's something that if you're skiing independently and having a great time, but you want to go up a level, like take a lesson again, just kind of have somebody there that can talk you through it and then when you'll get comfortable with the next level.
Completely agree.
Yeah, those are some great pointers. And we have David a few questions in the chat. Like how do you avoid getting frostbite? How do you relieve yourself when racing? Do you use a leg bag? And any pressure reliefs when you're skiing?
I can answer this
Yeah.
or start off. I avoid getting frostbite by wearing 5 to 7 mil booties on my feet, and basically they're diver booties. And I think that's what most people wear. They help to keep your feet warm in any given situations. And then there's also heated socks out there that work really well. And I have a very nice leg cover, and so I don't need anything. But when it comes to frostbite, compression socks and um, heated socks, if you're really worried about that, are a great method. Next, relieving yourself when racing. So I'm very lucky I can pee on my own. But I use a condom catheter with a tube, and then I can just pull the tube out and I can urinate. I know a lot of people use leg bags. And then in the middle of racing or whatever, they just go dump it on the side. And then the next question, or they get out of their rigs halfway through. That's a common one. A lot of people just get out of their rigs every hour to go pee and then get back in. And then pressure relief. That's a tough one for a lot of different sit skiers. Again, I don't have that issue. I'm very fit and I have very good circulation. I'm very lucky in that manner. And I can also have sensation, so I know. But it comes down to padding and simple relief points, lifting up areas behind your knees, but Also, a big one, and I've found this with sensation, is whenever I get on the chairlift, I just release my pads or release my straps around not necessarily my knees, but around my hips, and then I can relieve all the pressure I need. You're being held into your bucket by your straps. So whenever you get on the chairlift, just undo your straps and do them right before you get off the chairlift at the top, and you should be fine. Um, I think I think that answers most of those questions. Chris, do you have any other suggestions? I know Chris uses a custom seat to prevent that.
I do. I use the exact same boots, neoprene booties that Andrew's talking about, and have never had a problem with my feet. Once I switched to that, when I use like a big Sorel boot and heavy socks, my feet got dangerously cold white. Not frostbite, but pretty darn close. Just got lucky that those days that I didn't end up with bad frostbite, I guess. And as far as pressure release goes, it's something every single turn gives you. The time that you spend the most sitting and sitting the hardest is on the chairlift. So what Andrew suggests is loosening those buckles. Certainly loosen them rather than disconnect them. Is a is going to allow some circulation, and then fidget a bit while you're sitting still. If you're parked on the side of the hill for 10 minutes, fidget a bit, and that allows a little bit of circulation. But while you're skiing, that is a pressure release. You're bouncing up and down, so you're adding pressure and releasing pressure constantly.
The one thing I'll just add about the heated socks, I've tried. So, I mean, I use ski boots, but I've tried the heated socks, and I also used the Hotronic ones that like kind of like heat the whole boot. The one thing I'll say, I have burned myself before, so just like figure out what settings are safe for you. Before you start, you just set them at like whatever and go out there for several hours and forget to check your feet. So if you're going to use a heated sock or a heated boot, just figure out what's safe and then don't deviate from that.
One
Yeah.
thing I might add to that for the feet is I use a wool layer for my underlayer, and then I use a polyester blend heated sock over the top of that. And I actually don't need to actually turn on my socks until the end of the day, because the wool will wick the sweat away from my foot, and my Kamek boots will keep my feet warm enough while I'm skiing. That usually works for me.
Yeah, it's been really cold here in Colorado the last 3 days. It's been in the negatives. I think yesterday was like -14 when we were out there skiing, Super G. And for my feet, I use the neoprene booties, and then I do like wool socks, and then just like normal socks, wool socks, and then the neoprene booties. My feet have been fine. Did get a little something on my face from the cold, but it's worked out pretty well. And then I just I use catheters when I'm sitting in my rig. I can use like a bag catheter and relieve myself. And then I also have a customized bucket or cushion in my bucket, so that helps with the pressure. I'm not worried about pressure sores or anything.
To circle back to the heated socks, one of my teammates in the past put heated elements from ski boots underneath the footbed in her regular boots, and then skied on them, turned the volume up to 1 out of 5, and burned her foot from having them on all day. Myself personally, I'd prefer to have cold feet than risk burnt foot.
Thank you guys. That was all good feedback.
Thanks,
Ellen,
guys.
I've kept you waiting for a little bit. I might switch you over. Do you have a question or something to share?
I'm Kellen, and I'm a 12-year-old T11 incomplete. Um, and I've been skiing for 8 years now with the main adaptive program, and I'm trying to take the next step into skiing slash ski racing. I started running gates ever since I met Chris. Um, and I've just fell in love with ski racing, and I'm just trying to take the next step. So I'm wondering, like, from Chris or Andrew or Max, what would be the next step at my age?
Kellen, how do you ski? I'm also a T11 incomplete.
I'm in a mono, and I do GS.
Crazy good skier. I skied with him last weekend and couldn't keep up.
That's
I
sick,
mean,
dude.
Kellen, yeah, what Max and I did was we just talked an adaptive program and Kelly Brush Camp into setting up some gates and just like gave it a whirl. And I wish I am an upstate New York skier. I wish there was more if there was more access to adaptive racing on the East Coast, maybe in the future. But right now a lot of the actual races are mostly West Coast based, but I'm sure Andrew's got 8,000 tips of how to get into them.
Well, Con, I saw you at ski spec and you're crushing it. So I just say keep skiing in the gates and keep getting better. And then eventually, maybe find yourself back out here in Colorado and come to the NSCD and do like a week training here, or out in Park City or something like that. But what you've been doing so far has been great. So keep crushing it. Keep coming to ski spec.
Thank you.
Was your name Kellen?
Kellen.
Yeah.
Kellen,
Oh, yeah.
dude, you're sick. That's rad. I look forward to skiing with you one day. Starting off, dude, if you're going to ski spec and you're going to these different events throughout the United States, then your parents are doing something right and you're doing something right. You're starting the right way. And I just want to tell you right now, there's two guys in the world that are, I think, better than me in GS and slalom, and both of those guys started when they were young and when they were your age. Uh, there one's from Norway and the other one is from the Netherlands. It's Jeroen Kampschor and Jesper Pedersen. They're both very fast, and you have an edge up on all of your competition. Start doing the exercises and the work you need to do now and get in a sit ski that is made for racing, especially if you want to race. Maybe get yourself a Tessier and start figuring it out and start adapting to it with your parents and your local program. And about the time you get comfortable on it and it feels perfect for you, and you're like, yeah, I can crush anyone in the world, you're going to get that opportunity. All right, bud? Uh, heck yeah. I'm very excited
Kellen,
on here.
I'm sorry, Andrew. Kellen, there is a girl in Maine. She's I think a junior in high school. Her name's Cecile. She's a three tracker, and she skis a lot with another female four tracker from upstate New York, and their coach is named Rich. I don't know who they ski with, but he's probably a good person to talk to because he's taken, I know, Cecile and Victoria to a ton of able-bodied FIS races, which may be a good step for you. I have Rich's contact info if you'd like it.
Yeah, Kellen got a chance to meet them at Ski Spec, which is great. And he's skied with Cecile here in Maine quite a few times. So that's great. He can definitely follow up with them. So thank you for that. I'm Kellen's dad, by the way. You don't need to know my name. I'm Kellen's dad. So that's how everybody knows me.
Something else to consider, Kellen, is joining your most local race team, able-bodied. Introduce yourself to the coach. Hey, I want to learn the ski race. And don't take no for an answer when they look at you sideways.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome advice.
It's so great to see so many skilled and new skiers on this call tonight. I knew this call when it last early, like it wouldn't end early, so you guys could continue on for another few hours. Um, but it's so nice to hear everyone giving encouragement and just feedback and suggestions and get everyone out on the snow because it's really such an amazing sport. Um, and it's pretty awesome that we had some really skilled professionals on this call tonight. It was so wonderful to hear from you guys, and I appreciate you guys taking your time. It really means a lot.
And there's one thing I'd like to add, just if you could, you guys can just sign up for these camps that come along and the scholarships that are available out there through the Kelly Brush Foundation, through NEDS. I was able to get a scholarship this last week through NEDS to go to Bretton Woods for 3 days of skiing. And I'd never been to Bretton Woods before, and it was just an incredible, incredible experience. And I was just there to work on my craft, just to become a better skier. I started off doing all these Z turns, and they were teaching me how to do the S turns so I could be a lot more smoother. So I would encourage you guys to look through your local adaptive programs to see what kind of camps and scholarships are available that are actually free for you to be able to join and just to take advantage of the awesome opportunities that are out there.
Hey guys, everyone real quick right before we head off, feel free to add me on social media. And if you have any questions, message me on social media. I'm happy to help you at any time with any personal information, whether it be, hey, so I'm having this issue with my shock. How do I work on it? Hey, so I'm having this issue with my sit ski. How do I work on it? Where should I start? Things like that. There's quite a few people that message me on social media that I'm happy to help out. And any of you are one of them. And that's all. Hasta luego, fuegos.
Thanks, Andrew.